He taught them how to be brave and how to keep pushing forward when things get tough. He would sing them silly songs and continue making them laugh. He loved being Gianna's basketball coach.
Gigi full 6 about this.
Our youngest Gianna is 12 and she's practicing playing basketball every single day.
One dribble step back. That should be labeled unfair.
I asked if he wanted more children, and without hesitation, he said, I would have 5 more girls if I could.
Come on.
I'm a girl dad.
Good girl.
If I had the power to turn back time, I would never use it. I don't think about it. Because then every moment that you go through means absolutely nothing, because you can always go back and do it again. So it loses its flavor, it loses its beauty. When things are final, moments won't ever come again.
I can't believe it's come to an end. To my family.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Very, very on birthday to you.
Thank you guys for all your sacrifice. You guys will always be in my heart.
Man, those pictures of Kobe and Gigi, I don't know. It's really hard. At this time, I would like to welcome in someone who knew both of them so well. If we're going to be here on this day, I'm so thrilled to be joined by so many people who knew Kobe at his best, and that was often when he was with his little girls. We now have NBA and WNBA skills coach, co-founder of the Through the Lens skills training app with Carmelo Anthony, and coach to Gianna Bryant on Team Mamba. Alex Bizzell joins the jump. Thanks so much for stopping by, Alex. I'm really thrilled that you were able to spend time with us today, because Gigi and the girls from Team Mamba, it was amazing watching them together. And we were just hearing from Zebo how Kobe wanted you guys to be running them through, skills drills, yoga sessions, the full boat of training. What was it like to coach Gigi Bryant, knowing you had the ultimate athlete dad there working with you with her?
Well, you know what? It was an interesting relationship that we formed. Like most parents, and I worked with younger players in the past, of course. Most parents, they try to live through their children. And with Kobe, it was so unique because you knew he had all the knowledge and experience in the world that he could pass on to Gigi and her teammates. But he felt this need to have this divide of, at some point, he just wanted to be dad, and he wanted to have another voice in there. And, for him to trust me with that, that certainly meant a lot to me.
And of course, we spend so much time talking about Kobe because he lived his life in public. But Gigi was starting to, and we were starting to see what those of you who knew her so well know about her, how fierce she was, how determined she was, how funny and sweet she was. Can you tell us a little bit more about Gigi on the day-to-day? Because the potential that was lost on that day a year ago, it's gaping.
Yeah, obviously, who she was as a player, she was able to do things that, quite honestly, a lot of NBA players couldn't do. Like, she could shoot a fadeaway over her left shoulder as a righty, which, to give you an idea, if I start working with an NBA player, it usually takes them 3 to 4 weeks before it's even respectable. So for her to have that at that young of an age, she had so much of her dad in her, and quite honestly, a lot of Vanessa too. She was so fierce that even Kobe had to try to get her to back off a little bit.
Wait, excuse me? Are you serious? Come on.
I know. Yeah, and that was a sight to behold. So, she was as competitive as ever. But as you mentioned, when she was off the court, she was such a sweet girl, and you could just tell how much her teammates loved her.
And we know what Kobe's style was as a player. What about when he was talking to Gianna about what he wanted, or what she would say back to him? What were they like in terms of that competitiveness? Because I know Vanessa has called Gigi kind of Kobe's little clone in that way.
Yeah, well, Kobe was so great about, he wanted her to find her own way. He didn't always want to give her the answers. and he wanted to just pique her curiosity, and that's what he did with all the girls on the team. So to give him that leeway, it honestly changed the way I thought about how I approach training younger athletes. And, you know, he talked about it in a scenario of, think about a young kid that's learning a new language, how much quicker they can pick stuff up than maybe someone your age. And that's how he went about training. And he was like, let's just throw everything at them, see what they can absorb, and see what they naturally want to kind of pick up on their own. So just the way he went about it was so unique in that standpoint, because when you accomplish so much at whatever it is, you generally want to force your ideas or your way of what made you successful onto the next generation. And he kind of let everyone find their own way, and he kind of plugged along and gave answers when he could.
And I know you have been working toward equality in hoops yourself with your own projects. And I did want to ask you kind of Kobe's impact on the women's game and women's basketball. I've talked to several WNBA players who have said they think Gigi could have ended up being the greatest women's basketball player to come. And that includes someone like Diana Taurasi, who, of course, the GOAT. Just what they thought she might be able to do both within the game and for the game. And that started with Kobe, who recognized the importance of the WNBA and the modeling that gave children about what they could do. How did you see all of that and have incorporated that into your projects as you go forward too?
Well, with any young person or professional or anyone trying to find their way, you know, the two biggest things is competitiveness and passion. And she had that at the highest level. You know, there's a lot of very talented people. There's a lot of skilled players. But if you don't want to constantly improve, if you aren't looking for ways to kind of reach that next level, you're always going to get capped out. And that was never an issue with Gigi. So, you know, what her potential could have been, it really came down to her. And that's probably why so many people thought she had a chance to be one of the greatest players to probably ever play women's basketball and basketball in general. And, you know, with Kobe and I, we shared I think how we got along so well is we both had very similar interests, not only in the men's game, but the women's game just as much. So, you know, what we've been trying to do, and specifically with Through the Lens, and obviously my fiance is also a WNBA player.
Yep.
And has accomplished a lot in her young career so far, is we've always shared that interest and feeling like if we can continue to help do our part to help elevate the women's game, then, you know, there's really something there that the last couple of years you've seen the momentum that it's gained, and Kobe was certainly helping that. But I think what he'd be most proud of is how many other players have stepped up to the plate, specifically in the last year.
Well, Alex Bazell, thank you so much for joining us. That perspective on Kobe, on Gigi. Being the coach of Gigi Bryant, working with Kobe Bryant, that is a tall order. And the fact that you guys had such a fantastic relationship really speaks to the time you were able to spend. So thank you for spending time with us today. We really appreciate. And The Jump is continuing for another hour to celebrate the life of Kobe Bryant, his daughter Gianna, and the 7 other victims of the crash that happened, of course, a year ago. Over the past few weeks, I've actually been talking to current NBA stars. We interviewed everyone over the past few weeks, and we wanted to celebrate Kobe's life. And what the best way to do that by starting with asking stars to reflect on the first time they played against the Black Mamba. Take a look.
The first game I played against Kobe.
The very first time I played against him. The first time I ever got actually playing against him.
You remember, damn, you know, I'm on a court with Kobe,
I was just in awe.
I'm not sure if I could even do it any justice, really.
It's a guy who I would tape on my wall when I lived in Spring Hill in apartment 602. To be able to share the floor with him was like a, you know, for any kid that has aspirations or has inspiring moments from someone, it's just like a sense of awe.
I remember most just watching somebody that I literally grew up watching on YouTube.
Black Mamba strikes again.
And I remember just watching him, you know, just like I'm really about to line up against Kobe. I remember lining up the jump ball against Andrew Bynum and looking over and seeing, you know, Kobe. And that's when it was surreal for me. That's when I realized I was really a part of the NBA.
I think the thing that stood out most to me about playing Kobe that first time was
his pregame warm-up. Why is he working out at 4 o'clock and it's a 7:30 game? By the time I finished watching his workout, I had like missed my lift, my treatment time. You know, as a young guy, you get the early slots, and once you miss it, it's over. I had missed everything. And I think for me personally, that was just a moment like in my life where it was like, yo, like I'm sitting here watching Kobe. Nothing else really mattered to me at that point.
What were you trying to do out on the court that night?
For me, not to get, 50 dropped on me. My rookie year, we played against them in the playoffs. And I was just trying my best. I was just talking smack. I was just in his ear. He wasn't fazed by it.
At the Forum, my rookie year, we played against them, and I got switched on to him in an ISO situation. I'm, scrawny, 170-pound rookie coming in, and the look he gave me was so damn disrespectful. It was crazy.
He hissed like an actual snake. Whenever he wanted the ball, he would make a hissing sound. And it threw me all the way off. Like, I didn't know that was a thing.
He was just testing me. Like, he was just testing to see what I was made of. He was testing to see what type of mentality I had. And he was just testing me to see, who I was as a person and what I stood for. I guess I wanted to gain his respect so much at that moment.
And he was just stone-faced, straight killer mode the whole game.
It's down to 7. Starting to make his move for the win. He got the lead for him.
I remember we got our ass kicked. I remember that.
I think I'm a pretty, physical defender and all that stuff, and I'm a young pup. And I could tell you he beat the living out of me without even having the ball.
I always tell the story. I got a switch on Kobe. He was posting me up. I blocked his shot, and the ball bounced the half court, and I went running after full speed. It was a big moment for me because I could brag to my friends that I blocked Kobe Bryant's shot.
This guy's a blur. Kobe, deep three, got it.
He got the ball back and shot a 3, and he said, the play continues, young fella.
He says, John Wall, get this one.
The very first time was actually here in LA. It was my assignment to guard Kobe. Obviously having B. Shaw as an assistant. And B. Shaw's like jawing at him, egging him on, getting him riled up, talking mess from the bench. And here I am in the middle while all of this is going on. I was guarding him, and he got into his back down, his patent pump fake, and I went flying for it. A young guy trying to go block his shot. I went flying for it, and he caught me in the air. He ran down, specifically ran down to where B. Shaw was, and yelled at B. Shaw, check the young fella for feathers.
The first time that I played against him was when I was in Chicago and he was with the Lakers. And I just remember him asking Michael Jordan all these questions on the court the whole time. But I think what ultimately made him who he was that audacity to ask Michael Jordan for pointers in his very first game against him. Think about most 18-year-olds, they'd be scared to death to go against Michael. And he was just inquisitive. It's pretty remarkable.
He was just our generation's Jordan in terms of like iconic moves, ISO stuff, fadeaways, game winners.
I try to emulate how he moved down to what he said to you guys in the media, to how he worked out before the games, what he watched. I would really try to study it as much as possible. I would never told him that, but as a younger player, I was really just copying everything he did. He's my idol growing up, and it was just a blessing to be on the same court as him and compete. It
was me and him. Nobody on that court mattered. Nothing else mattered. It was everything for me. It was everything for me. It was the best moment of my life.
The best moment of his life. Thank you so much to all the players who participated. I cannot tell you guys how much fun it was to talk to everybody over these past few weeks. Thank you so much to our producer, Michael Bodmer, who put that together so beautifully. And I wanted to turn and ask you guys the same question, Matt. What was it like the very first time you went up against Kobe Bryant?
It was amazing because I was fresh off a call-up, but my journey starts back at UCLA when I used to sneak back into Poly Pavilion and watch him work out because, early on, it wasn't much. He would always try to find time to come up to UCLA, so we'd see him walking on campus and working out. And when Draymond said he sat there and just lost track of time, I completely feel that, because I went there one time and just watched him for like an hour 45 work as hard as he possibly can, and I was just like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to guard something like that one day. So first time we played was fun, but my more memories when Draymond said that was, getting lost just watching him work out.
For me, I have an opportunity to be there when he was a rookie and watch his growth. And I think the biggest jump was when he ended the 99 season, and then we got a new coach. We went from the Forum to Staples Center. And that summer, I don't know what he did, but he went in the lab and he changed his whole game up. And he became this iconic player that he was good then, but he went to a whole nother mode. He went into beast mode, so to say, and he helped us win a championship. And that Kobe Bryant, and I remember like yesterday, I'm getting off the elevator. You have to do those physicals, and that's when you see players. And I'm looking at his body. I'm like, dude, what did you do? He got bigger, he got stronger, he got faster, he got an afro. It all came together, and it was just to watch him go from the guy who was shooting the air ball in the playoffs against the Jazz to being this guy that took over in the finals when Shaq fouled out. And it was just amazing to be a part of that journey with him.
Well, I want to now bring in a man, one of your teammates during Kobe's rookie year and certainly for a lot longer, Mr. Byron Scott. Thank you so much, friend, for joining us. Kobe gave a great shout out to Byron in his Mamba Mentality book, mentioning how much he learned from you early in your career. So, Byron, what was it like for you the first time you faced up against Kobe in practice? Because as Robert said, he came to y'all as a young pup.
Well, Big Shot knows that, we had some great practices, some very competitive practice. Big Shot, big-time competitor himself. Kobe at 17, 18 years old just wouldn't back down to anybody. He wanted to take that challenge. And that's why we got so close, is because he wanted to ask all these questions about the NBA and how he could take advantage of his talents and what were people going to try to do to take advantage of him. And, as a rookie, you always know people will come at you, especially vets. They're going to come at you. You got to be ready for that. They're going to try to take advantage of you. But his mentality even then was that he was going to be the best. He was going to outwork everybody. We all knew he had talent. That was obvious from day one. And you had to kind of guide that talent. But in the long run, we knew that talent was going to take over, and the work ethic just made him that much more special. But he said from day one to me, in all the conversations that we had, that he wanted to be one of the greatest players in the league. And I looked at him, and we eye to eye, and I said, man, the way you work, you will be. And he turned out being one of the greatest of all time.
The thing about Kobe also, he wasn't afraid to ask questions. A lot of guys are afraid to ask questions, and Kobe would go to you. If he wants to know about another player, he would ask questions. So that was the best thing about him. He was going to learn some way or another. He was going to figure it out. Yeah.
Well, I like about all three of you guys had interactions with Kobe very early, and then, of course, also very late. And Byron, you were in such a crazy position. We just showed that page from Kobe's book. The photo he put up of the two of you was him hugging you. I believe that's an Andrew Bernstein special, and just thanking you for all of the conversations that you had. But that not only came when he was a young player, it came when you turned around and then coached him at the end of his career. What was that like to span the very beginning to then, of course, the very end?
The last 2 years that I had in LA coaching and having KB on that team, it was the best 2 years of my life in coaching. And I had some great success early, with New Orleans and New Jersey. But it can't compare to the last 2 years I spent with Kobe here in LA. We got to reunite, reconnect. We spent a lot of time together. I got a lot of 5 o'clock a.m. calls in the morning about what like, man, do you ever sleep? He was just one of those guys that, was driven. And I love that about him. And like Robert just said, wasn't afraid to ask questions. And that's the thing I love about it. Even at 37 years old, wasn't afraid to ask me questions about, game planning, practice planning, whatever it may be. And he was just one of those guys that he just felt that every day you can learn. Every day you can get better as a basketball player. Every day you can learn as a person. And he took that, literally. And I know that's one of the reasons that he changed his number to 24, because he was always talking about, you got 24 hours in a day. And that day, those 24 hours, you can get better. And I love that about him because of his spirit and his passion, not only for basketball, but for life. You know, we know how much he loved his girls and his family. But the most fierce competitor I've ever been around, Magic Johnson was an unbelievable competitor in practice. You know, I've been with, Big Shot when we had practice and when Kobe was in and how competitive he was. I know how competitive, my man Matt Barnes is. I know that dude, he just goes out and he gonna guard you. He gonna make it rough on you every single night. But Kobe just had that about him that every day in practice, he was going to give you 110% and he was going to go at you. And he didn't respect you if you didn't go back at him. Right. That's the one thing about it. He did not respect you if you didn't go back at him. If you looked at him and just thought he was bigger than God or, I can't, he didn't have no respect for you. But if you went at him, he had all the respect for you. And that's the thing that I loved about him. His competitive nature, his passion for the game, his passion for life, his passion for his family. I mean, those 2 years, like I said, Rich, I'll never forget those two. As bad as our team was, that was the best 2 years I've ever had as a coach.
That's an amazing statement, Byron. You're someone who won multiple rings, played with Magic, as you said, coached in the NBA Finals, and yet your 2 best years coaching were those. A really great message that it is not all about the wins and losses, and especially with someone like Kobe Bryant. He was known as such a winner, but it's what he gave us all along the way that we really want to celebrate today. It's about so much more than just the titles. Byron, thank you so much for joining us.
Rachel, I covered them up close, and I never realized how close they were until after Kobe passed, and we saw all of the social media posts from Vanessa and Kat and Pau and just the interactions that they've had. And I couldn't, I was like, wow, I was up close to it and I didn't know. And it reminded me a little of Kobe's relationship with Michael Jordan, where we kind of realized how close they were after Michael gave that eulogy. And I respect that because he kept something for himself, right? Like he shared so much of himself with all of us and with the world, but he did keep certain relationships for himself out of the public eye. And I respect that. And I think it's beautiful. And for me I think what we learned over the past year, as we've all been telling stories, is just who he was as a man. I mean, he used to email me when he was writing. Remember, he would write those stories from the Players Tribune, and he would say, "What do you think of these stories I've been writing?" I go, I was polite. I was like, "Yeah, that's really good." Yeah. He goes, "No, what do you really think?" Right? And he was like, I was like, "You want me to read it and red pen it?" And he goes, "Yes, red pen the SH out of it," right? And he wanted a real critique, and because he wanted to be a great writer and he wanted to know what it took. And I remember we were doing a story kind of in his last year, and he really wanted to know what my writing process was like because he was transitioning into that world. And so I told him I usually like to, I get a soundtrack kind of. I pick songs that fit the theme of the story, and I get a little method actor about it. And I go, "Tell me some of the songs you listen to." And he hit me back immediately. And Rachel, you wouldn't even believe the songs. It'd be Trans-Siberian Orchestra and Sia. It would be Kanye, it would be Tribe Called Quest. It was all over the map, but it was the types of songs that he would listen to when he was in his zone and he was pushing himself. And the stories he wanted to hear from me about being a writer that's what he got the most excited about. And he's like, "I want to hear that because that's when I hear the passion in your voice." And I just knew that's who he was. I mean, that's Kobe the man. He got excited about things that other people were passionate about, and he wanted to help you take that passion that was inside of you and make the most of it.
Yeah, I mean, Ramona and I got a chance to talk on the phone the other night for about 45 minutes while she was finishing up this piece with Pau. And one thing Pau said, and I told Ramona that night too, Kobe was so cool on the bus, in the locker room, so chill. And I used to tell Kobe, like, "Yo, why can't the rest of the world see this dude?" And he said, "These MFers can't see that side of me." You know what I mean? He always wanted to keep that Mamba wall up, but it was beautiful to see that, Pau used to, kind of work on him too. It's okay. You're still a bad man, but you could still be, show the world the rest of the other side. But he just, until he was done, he wouldn't do it.
Yeah, for me, I am so jealous of everybody that got to know Kobe in that sense, because when I got to know Kobe, it was just straight laser focus. It's I want to be the best. And he was like a machine. He was a robot. He was pretty much the Terminator. And he let some of us in, but not the degree that he's let these other guys in. So I'm so jealous of all these other guys. I got to know him a little bit, but not like these other guys. And I say it again, I am jealous of you, Matt. I'm jealous, man.
Well, it's fun. You know, we work so much with Tracy McGrady, and as I mentioned earlier in this show, they were so close when they both came in, close in age, coming right from high school. They spent summers together, staying at each other's parents' houses, and then there was that decade or so of Kobe's tunnel vision. And then after, Robert, as you said, they got to know each other, having kids on the AAU circuit together, and talking about just rekindling that deep, deep friendship, the people who got to be let in by Kobe, like Pau, like T-Mac, like Matt, so many of us who were lucky to be around him, not just at the beginning, but also at the end. And Ramona, you certainly were right there. So thank you for joining us. When we return, we will also have the man, the myth, the legend, the truth, Paul Pierce, joining us as we unveil the 24 greatest Mamba moments of all time. Robert Horry, Matt Barnes, and we now welcome in the MVP of the 2008 finals, of course, took place between the Celtics and Kobe's Lakers. Future Hall of Famer, Paul Pierce, thank you for being with us. We had to move to the big part of the set because we got Paul with us now. Paul, 2 NBA finals you played against Kobe. You guys played against each other, though, 39 times.
Wow.
That Celtics-Lakers rivalry, you two were the faces there. But I want to take you back to the very beginning. I'm going to ask you the same question I asked these guys, so many current players. What do you remember about the very first time you faced Kobe Bryant?
Oh, man. I'll never forget this. So when I first came into the league, I played small forward my whole life. I came into the league, I got moved to 2 guard, right? And so now I'm guarding Kobe, and I just remember he stole a ball from me, and he went down. I couldn't catch him. Usually I'm like, all right, I could catch him. You know, I was pretty fast as a youngster. I just thought how fast he was. And I was just like, every time they got the rebound, he gone. I'm like, I can't keep up with this dude, man. I'm like, it made me reevaluate my position. You know what? I think I'm gonna have to go back to small forward. Because playing the 2 guard, he was just so fast. Like, man, you know what? Man, we need to make a trade. I'm gonna go back to the small forward. I don't want to have to deal with this for the next 10 years.
Kobe could do that to you, right, guys?
Yes, he could. I was incredible. I was like, wow.
Absolutely. All right. Well, to honor the legend of Kobe, we have decided to spend the rest of the show counting down the top 24 Mamba moments. And some of these guys who played with and against him, who knew him best, are going to chime in here. So number 24, Kobe winning the 97 dunk contest as a rookie, people. Watch this.
Couldn't tell nothing.
With the swagger already.
You couldn't tell that dude nothing.
Fresh out of high school, getting the dunk contest, man.
He had them legs.
This is when the stars still competed in the dunk contest. Right. This is what you gotta love. I mean,
thank you.
Man, you gotta love that.
I think a lot of people forget that Kobe had hops back in the day.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You're not going to forget watching this. Number 23, Kobe performing a spike block on Ray Allen.
Like, come on, man. That was like big brother versus little brother right there. That's how I do my son Prince right now.
Oh, you gonna get the steal? I'm gonna pay you back, though. I'll pay you back. Take that.
Talk about hops, brother. Look how long he was up there.
Waiting for it.
Right?
And we all know Ray got hops, too. He just couldn't jump with the Mamba.
Kobe was like, oh, wait, it's all good. I'll just be up here. You get here whenever you can. Number 22, Kobe on Dwight Howard. Take a listen.
This was
Here's because of this man, Kobe Bryant, can take over. Posterizes Dwight Howard.
It's the first time I ever got dunked on, and it had to be Kobe Bryant. So every time I see him come down the lane, I just get flashbacks, and hopefully it won't happen again.
I baptize him. I turned him into a defensive force.
Here's another look from a different angle. This one right into your living room.
That was tough.
Man, just saddle someone like that, man.
My only thing is, how is this number 22? Like,
it's going to get good. About to get good.
That would have been my number 1.
Man, that was tough.
Oh, my gosh.
Get to the paint. And think about this. It's like most guys are going to try, like, better than that. I'm just going to ride this one out. And Kobe just rolled him out.
Number 21, guys, Kobe's clutch buckets against the Blazers in 2004.
That's the Kobe stopper, ain't it?
Oh, yeah, that was crazy.
Matt, that's the Kobe stopper, right?
Hey,
oh, wait.
He said he was a Kobe stopper, man, so many times in practice.
Man, Oh my goodness, this was crazy.
I apologize to everyone from Portland for reopening this trauma, but it was incredible.
Oh,
beautiful. Ruben remembers.
Number 20, Kobe's one-handed alley-oop against the Sixers in 2000.
Oh my goodness.
Nasty.
That was crazy. That was about as bad as a pass you can throw.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say that. That pass was awful, B-Shaw. B-Shaw made him a highlight.
He was throwing it to Shaq.
That's how you get good alley-oops, though. The worse the pass, the better the highlight.
On the opposite side of the rim he was on.
And for Kobe to go get it, though, most people are like, it's a bad pass, but he still goes and gets it.
I'm sorry, Alan. All right, number 19, Kobe's baseline dunk against the T-Wolves in 2003. Take a listen to this one.
Oh, man, I remember this on ticket. Oh, man. Oh, come on, man. Oh, my. When you dunk on the big ticket, then, oh, my God.
Hey, he's got a couple dunks on me like this. I'm just hoping they didn't make the list.
Ooh. That was tough. You know, as I'm watching this, I'm like, did he just dunk that?
Let me get that one against the Knicks, too.
So,
Shout out to our friend Kevin Harlan. Great call on that game. So many more. Number 18, Kobe hits a turnaround three with his offhand, people.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Man,
I don't even know if I've attempted a jump shot.
I remember when he broke his right hand. That's when he was at UCLA. I'm telling you, he went through a whole workout like he was a left-handed player that used to just
you
blow
would
me
watch him
away.
in practice. Some days he just come to practice. Oh, I'm just going to do everything left hand. You look at him like, really, dude? And he buckets left-handed.
He did it.
He was hitting them.
Did it.
Number 17, Kobe dunking on, yes, Yao Ming.
Get up, big fella.
Over the Great Wall. Ooh, not a lot of people went over the Great Wall, but Kobe certainly did.
And I'm just always there in the background, just watching in amazement at the things he can do. It's always so great when you can see it live and watch these moments and be like, dude, really?
Right.
Robert, I am going to point out you did more than watch. You have 7 rings to prove it, several with Kobe.
You love watching Kobe, man. It was some of the things he would do, and Matt knows, it's things he used to do in practice.
Incredible.
And you're like, wow. So
all you.
The high, I'm laughing so much to myself remembering, and you guys would go through these moments too where, you guys were just a little bit, especially early on, right? Trying to prove things to people, and the older guys trying to basically show them, hey kid, we're still here, and yet then he would pull off some big move. I've had so many guys tell me, and they'd be like, all right.
Yeah. For me, it was so many moves, and I think a lot of times for us back in the day, we used to have.
Taking the Jazz to school in 2002, guys.
Footwork.
That's what you're talking about, Robert, right? He wanted that Hakeem footwork.
Oh, yeah. He's one of the best at doing this, and a lot of guys at home try to mimic this, but it ain't the same.
No.
Number 15, Kobe dunking on Ben Wallace during preseason of his rookie year. Sound up on this one.
Did he try to take a charge?
In Vegas.
Here we got a dribble drive, change of direction by Bryant.
Ben never tried to take a charge after that.
And then stood over him.
To see it. You talk about elevation. Chick, he went up
High school kid. Preseason, rookie year.
People weren't scared of Ben until he got the throw.
That is not a charging foul.
That was tough.
Amazing. Number 14, Kobe's buzzer beater against the Heat, 2009.
Legged. Got him.
Woo.
Great shot.
He didn't call bank, he called gang.
Sunset Paul Pierce.
He called gang.
Classic.
Paul, you used to go shot for shot launching with Kobe. You knew he would always come back at you, though, right?
Without question. Come on, man.
Great contest.
He came into Boston and took 41 shots.
Wow.
Come on. I'm like, what's going on?
Number 13, Kobe's MVP revenge dunk on Steve Nash in the 2006 playoffs.
Oh, wow. I like the little hang on the rim.
And Steve's just like, hey, I'm down. Good. Thank you.
That's my MVP trophy, Steve. You know I deserved it.
Number 12, Kobe showing off in MSG in 2003. Remember, this was during the 9-game streak of 40-point games for Kobe.
Yes.
Windmill baseline dunk right here.
Man, it was incredible this streak he went on. But the other thing about it, we just let go on it then. Just go, young fella. We win and go. Do your thing. Come on, Spree. Come on.
40 point. Number 11, Kobe's bang out in the 2002 finals. Robert, you remember this, right?
Oh, of course. Right here, you know, Kobe was going.
Gosh.
You got murdered.
Looking over at B. Scott, talking trash, you know, his mentor.
That was sweet. You guys swept him, right?
Yeah, we swept him.
Sal McCullum, come on. I think he retired after that.
Yeah, we swept him. No biggie.
Oh, my gosh. Come on, Kobe.
Just Jason Kidd. Whatever.
You know, Kobe was like, we don't beat these guys. I'm just go out and get my numbers. I'm going to get numbers. Where my numbers at, Cookie?
Jason Kidd. Number 10, Kobe improvising on the break against the Nuggets in 2003.
They need some help.
Ooh, good pass.
This was crazy. If you did this to me, man, I mean, we got to get into a conversation.
There are so many of these moments because
something got to happen.
This is come on.
Hey, the thing about this is Kobe and I had this thing where I'd be like, Kobe, watch the press. And Kobe's eyes would light up. Because he knew I saw something. I would do that baseball pass to him. He'd go down and dunk it.
Come on.
Well, it worked.
Behind the back
All
of here.
right, number 9, Kobe's first All-Star appearance in '98.
No,
you can't 360 on me, dog. Come on. Something got to happen, man.
Oh, that's Corey.
Wow.
All right, now we're moving on. Number 9, Kobe's first All-Star appearance in '98. Let's go.
98.
This was against MJ, remember?
This is what they call when idols become rivals.
Yep. This was amazing in the Last Dance documentary to kind of get some of the behind the scenes in this from MJ's perspective, right?
He was not bashful in his All-Star.
He was not.
Full
He came
speed
out
ahead.
to do his thing.
Full speed ahead.
And you heard Steve Kerr talking about, of course, you know, how much he just asked MJ a million questions all the time, even while they were playing. Absolutely incredible. All right, guys, we've got the top 8 Mamba moments coming up right after this final break. First, though, here is Michael Jordan at Kobe's memorial service talking about their relationship. This was so, so moving.
In the game of basketball, in life, as a parent,